Yes, sir. Very, very, very happy evening to all. Sir, if you are going to write in this Jan group number 2 for CA Inter, this video is for you. Sir, for the next 5.5 days, being costing is the first paper, I have prepared a fantastic study timetable for you. If you are able to follow this timetable religiously, I can assure you an exemption in costing. Exemption in cost. First of all, before we talk about the timetable, understand the costing subject from the angle of the examination. I can classify the costing into 5 categories. Slot A, N, M, CA. A is a cost sheet. It is mandatory area for examination. You take any question paper, without that, a question paper won't be there. This is not expected question. This is actual question. You are going to get 10 mark question from cost sheet. Sir, the next one, cost accounting system, integrated and non-integrated. In that, reconciliation is there. Reconciliation of profit. That area is, sir, highly expected for examination, which will come for 5 mark in exam. And without process costing, a 10 mark question, either in the MCQ or in the descriptive, we won't have a question paper. So 10 plus 10, 5. This is a 25 area, 25 mark area for exam, slot A. When you start with the cost sheet, direct material, direct labor, direct expenses will give you prime cost, add factory overhead. That's what element of cost sheet, material, labor and overhead. In that material, EOQ are very important. Economic order quantity, root of 2AB divided by C. And stock level, reorder level, maximum stock level, minimum stock level, average stock level, safety stock level, all those stock levels are very important. In that labor, my dear lovable students, Halsey versus Rowan is very important. And the labor turnover ratio calculation is very important. In that overhead, everything is important overhead. Basically, the primary distribution, secondary distribution, treatment of, sir, under absorption and over absorption is very important in the chapter overhead, and calculation of machine hour rate. So basically, generally in exams, overhead chapter will come for 10 mark, and material and labor generally for 5 mark. It may extend also. So this is a 20 mark slot for our examination, my dear lovable students. You know, little effort, more return. That is what ABC costing. Immediately after studying the overhead, because there is a defect in the chapter overhead, which has been rectified by ABC. This is a 10 mark area for examination. One of the easiest slot, service costing, is a 10 mark area for examination. Unit costing, job costing, batch costing, one of the costing will come for 5 mark. So this is a 25 mark area for exam. Then we are having decision making chapters like standard costing, marginal costing, budget and budgetary control. So generally standard 8 mark area, marginal 8 to 10 mark area, budget another 8 to 10 mark area. Sir, more or less 25 mark area for exam. Joint and byproduct, they are asking for 4 to 5 mark every attempt, and theory they are asking for 15 mark. This is 20 mark. If you add, this is how they are splitting 116 mark for our examination. First, understand this. Sir, what we are going to do in the coming 5.5 days, my dear lovable students, this is the schedule. This will start from 12th, that is from tomorrow onwards. That's why I'm uploading this video on 11th. Sir, நாளைக்கு காலையில slot number A, morning 7:30 to 9:30, you are supposed to do cost sheet. You are supposed to do cost accounting system, and you are supposed to do process costing. That's what our slot. Cost sheet la irundhu namu sums போட போறோம். Cost accounting systemல இருந்து நீங்க sum solve பண்ண போறீங்க. Process costing, that is before breakfast, you are supposed to do this. எவ்வளோ questions are போடணும்? Sir, cost sheet, you have to try 2 question. Process costing, 2 question. And cost accounting system, 1 question. totally before breakfast, 5 questions you have to complete, my dear lovable students. After breakfast, that is our next slot number N, 10 to 1. You have to do the decision making question, the high mark weightage area, standard, sir, marginal, and budget and budgetary control. காலையில 10 மணிலிருந்து 1 மணி வரைக்கும். Sir, standard you have to solve 2 questions. Budget and budgetary control you have to solve 2 questions, 4 questions, and 3 questions from marginal costing, because that will be little less. Small questions. 7 questions you have to complete from this decision making chapters. Very important area for examination. So by the time நம்ம நாளை காலையில ஆரம்பிச்சோம்னா மதியத்துக்குள்ளேயே 25 mark and here 25 mark, 50 mark preparation is done. Then my dear lovable students, afternoon, very important slot, that is a time where we will write exam. Material, labor, overhead, unit costing, batch costing, job costing, joint product by product. Material, you have to solve 2 questions. Labor, you have to solve 2 questions. And overhead, you have to solve 2 questions. And unit costing, batch costing, and job costing, 1 question. Each totally 3 questions. Joint and byproduct, 1 question. So 2 plus 2, 4, 6, 9 plus 1, 10 question. That means 2 to 5, you have to solve 10 question. This is the workout batch for you for the coming 5.5 days. Then evening, after 1 hour of sufficient break, 6 to 8, a very important slot, service costing. Sir, you have to solve 1 question, and ABC costing, you have to solve 2 question. So totally, you'll be solving 3 questions. Sir, after that, sir, 9 to 10:30. If any question pending from morning to evening, that you have to solve. And if you want or interested, you can revise the theory part. So one day, we are going to solve 25 questions, my dear lovable students. 25 questions a day, we are going to solve. That means the same is for the day number 2 also the same. Morning, we'll be doing slot A, 10 to 1 slot N, and sir, 2 to 5 slot M, then slot C and slot A. This is what every day we are going to solve 25 questions. So 25 question into 5, 125 question you will be solving before the day of examination. You tell me, man, if we are really make this happening without, sir, leaving any part, the impact in the first examination will be very level. And if you are able to crack the costing first 100 mark with an exemption, that's it, that group has been cleared. If you give an average performance in the remaining 2 papers also, always the first paper will save you like anything, my dear lovable students. 5.5 days will save our 4 months of our life. Sir, from where I have to solve the question? From any source you can solve, my dear lovable students. Cost sheet, you can try from the ICAI illustration and ICAI book back. Anything. But by after doing all these things, ensure that you have completed the MTP1, that is current MTP1, MTP2, current MTP2, and sir, RTP, current, and also, my dear lovable students, previous, sir, attempt question paper, this you have to complete. That means what I am saying, if you are doing 2, you have to do 2 questions from the cost sheet. Tomorrow morning, you can take ICAI illustration, you can solve. ICAI book back, you can solve. Actually, beautiful questions are there in ICAI book back. If you are really solving that ICAI book back question itself, more than enough. And you can try the questions from the current MTP1. For example, MTP நம்ம சால்வ் பண்ணும்போது ஃபுல்லா சால்வ் பண்ண அவசியம் இல்லை. அந்த MTPல காஸ்ட் ஷீட் மட்டும் எடுத்து காலையில ட்ரை பண்ணி பார்க்கலாம். சார், மெட்டீரியல் வரும்போது மெட்டீரியல் சாப்டர் சால்வ் பண்ணி பார்க்கலாம். Like that, if you are able to solve 25 questions a day, you know one thing, now the main mistake what people are doing in the market is, even costing, they are listening. This 5.5 days is not for listening. This 5.5 days is for practicing. There is no mistake in listening. There is no problem in listening. We have to listen. But we are not going to listen in 3 hours. We are going to write in 3 hours. நீ பாடுறவனா இருந்தா பாடிதான் ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணணும். ஆடுறவனா இருந்தா ஆடிதான் ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணணும். எழுதுறவனா இருந்தா எழுதிதான் ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணணும். And if you don't want the last slot, that is 9 to 10:30, that is theory revision, if you have not prepared, leave it. During that time daily, 1.5 hours or 2 hours, you can revise the audit, because the another very important 100-mark area for examination. And I will be daily, if possible, review and update you the videos, my dear lovable students, whether you have completed or not. So my dear lovable students, if you are going to follow this strategy, this is one of the best from my side till now from the subject costing. You just inform me by way of comments that in the Janda daily update below the video that I have completed this slot. You religiously follow this 25 questions a day. The level of confidence and the satisfaction will be very level. Day number 1, you will be confused. Day number 1, you will be having lot of doubts. But day number 2, slowly 20% confidence will start increase. Day number 3, that 20 will become 40. Day number 4, that 40 will become 60. Day number 5, that 60 will become 80. And before you go to the examination, will be equal to you have, pakka prepared with the what is required for the examination. But if you are just auditing the question instead of you taking paper, pen and solving, if you are just listening still the concepts, my dear lovable students, you won't have the writing practice. Then you don't know where to start writing. In the particular question, enga ஆரம்பிக்கணும் தெரியாது. That you have to train yourself by spending nearly 5 days of your time. So nearly 50 hours you are going to put in for this subject costing. And in this, if you have not studied any particular chapter, for example, in this slot, if you have not studied any particular chapter, you have the leverage to leave 1 or 2. There is no problem at all. That time, for example, I will tell you, man, I have not prepared joint product and byproduct. Sir, if leave it. That time, you do 2 questions from material or 2 questions from labor, or compensate with the other chapter what you have prepared. So my dear lovable students, what we will think will happen. Always for group 2, you know the theory weightage is more as compared to the problem. So we should be able to crack the paper number 1 in a very high note. Exemption is mandatory in costing. Exemption is very much mandatory in costing, my dear lovable students. So plan your timetables like that. From tomorrow morning onwards, start executing this. Choose the question, do the question, make it happen. I will tell you, you can see the A&M effect there. Day 2 will not be like day 1. You start feeling the comfortableness in day 2. Day 3 will not be day 1 and 2. You will start feeling much better. And sir, it is my responsibility. நீ அந்த இடையில எங்கேயுமே 5.5 days விழுந்து போலேன்னு உன்னை ensure பண்ண வேண்டியது, it's my responsibility. I believe that we together can happen this Jan. In the Jan da, I am waiting for your positive comments, my dear lovable students. I am wishing you all the very best to achieve what you love in your life. In the Jan da, we will meet at the appropriate time. Thank you and bye-bye from me.